Hello and welcome to episode 54 of the Dental Realist podcast. I am Dr. Ryder Waldron and I'm here as usual with Dr. Troy Stevens and Dr. Marcus D. Neff. Troy, how's it going today?
Going really well. Wednesday morning here, few days before Christmas, getting ready for the holiday. It's great.
Good day. Marcus, how about you?
It's a glorious day. I'm not working.
Got the day off today, yeah.
We're
We're
recording
podcasting a little earlier, yeah.
Yeah, we're recording at 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is pretty nice. Feels good to have a day off.
Yes, it does.
Got some kind of aircraft flying over my house. I hope everyone can hear, but yeah, we'll try to ignore that.
737.
Is that what it could be? Might be an F-16.
Oh yeah, you guys are by the airfield, right? Yeah, that's probably an F-16, yeah.
Yeah, could be. So, guys, we're a couple of days before Christmas here, and I was going to ask you before we get started, what's your favorite Christmas movie? Because that's all that's on TV right now. Troy, do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Well, as far as there's a couple things. Traditional Christmas is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, not going to lie.
The old-timey one?
The old one, yes.
Yeah.
The kind of claymation type deal.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
But as far as comedy, I'm going to have to go with Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because that's just a classic, hilarious movie.
Yeah.
And I actually decided that I was going to follow suit in that, and I was going to give my staff the Jelly of the Month Club for bonus this year.
Nice.
I bet they were happy.
Couldn't quite bring myself to do it, but yeah, I would definitely. Yeah. It was on the list.
You do that, you're getting kidnapped and drug over to somebody's house. And
That's right.
The man in a blue leisure suit will show up.
Right here, so I can tell him what I think of him.
He's a big ghastly man. Marcus, what about you?
I kind of like, as far as classic, I like the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one. And then I'm with Troy. Christmas Vacation. I gotta watch it every year, and it just has me laughing the whole time.
Yeah, I like both of your picks, because I was gonna say the Peanuts Christmas, Charlie Brown Christmas. I love watching that, but I like the Rudolph one, and the elf in that also wants to be a dentist in the Rudolph.
Yes, that's right.
He does.
He carries the book around, and it just says Dentistry on it. You can learn everything you need to out of one book.
There's only one book.
There's
Why
one
did
book.
they charge us for so many books in dental school?
I've got hundreds of dollars worth of books.
Yeah.
And Christmas Vacation. I just love that movie. It's on like all the time on TV right now, and I watch it every time it's on.
Yep.
Speaking of dental books, if any of our listeners are interested, I will send you. You just pay the shipping and handling. I'll send you all my dental books. They're yours.
Oh wow, there you go.
I know.
Yeah.
Whoa, Marcus, that's a good deal.
Nice. That's probably a good thing, because I'd create a lot of space on my bookshelf. I don't crack those open very often. If I did, I could probably just Google it now.
Yeah, the other day I was looking through the cabinet in my office, and I found my inorganic chemistry book.
Oh boy.
I'm like, why did I keep this? When am I ever going to review this stuff?
Yes.
Ever?
Yeah. I've got a lot of notes from dental school and and college and stuff, and I don't know why I kept all that crap. I should have just thrown it away.
I'll do them one better. If they pay the shipping and handling, I'll send them my degree.
How about your license?
And
Can
my
you
license.
give that up? Can you surrender your
Practice in the
license?
state of Idaho.
Yes. Hey, that's an offer you can't. That's Christmas right there.
Yeah,
Marcus, the Christmas
That is
spirit.
an amazing deal, Marcus.
Just cover the shipping and handling. That's all I ask.
I got a quick question for you guys, though.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever drink eggnog out of your moose cup? I know
No,
Marcus.
I love
I bet
eggnog.
he has one of those cups and just chugs his eggnog in there, don't you, Marcus?
I don't have one of those cups. I wish I did. That's a good idea. I bet I might have to get me a set.
Yeah.
But that word egg, just the thought of slurping down some egg does not sound good.
Eggnog is
Excellent.
so good.
I've got some in my
It's
refrigerator. After this, I'm going to go drink some.
Yeah, I love eggnog. Oh, can I refill your eggnog? Drive you out in the middle of the desert and leave you for dead?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we'll just sit here and quote Christmas Vacation for the next hour.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, I've got another important question before we get to dental stuff. What did you guys think of the Bachelorette finale last night? Did you guys tune in for that?
Oh,
No,
missed
not follow
that.
The Bachelorette.
Probably.
Don't spoil it for me. Oh
I won't.
boy.
You guys probably have it recorded, but it was the most dramatic episode ever, the most dramatic season ever, and just a really romantic engagement at the end. So
I did
Wow.
watch a little NBA basketball. It's back, Troy.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
is it? I could care less. I mean, that's great.
Jazz are starting up tonight. I know Marcus will be tuning in. He's a big
Who
Rudy
they
Gobert
who
fan.
they got tonight?
They're playing the Portland Trailblazers, who also have Damian Lillard, Weber State Wildcat great.
I knew that was
You-
coming.
yeah. You know what's amazing is Damian Lillard won Rookie of the Year in the NBA. He's been an All-Star just about every year. But Weber State couldn't make the NCAA tournament when he played for them. Like, that makes no sense at all. I don't know.
Well, it does when you think about the rest of the team is made up of kids from Roy High.
Well, oh my
Is
gosh.
Weber State even a university, or is it just a high school?
It is a proud university.
Okay.
Voted most often the most elite university in the Big Sky Conference.
Well,
Wow.
I mean,
that's
That's something.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if
I'm
that's true,
speechless.
but you know,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, of course.
So they're 4A or 5A?
They are in Division 1 athletics is all I know. And in football they compete in the FCS division, which is formerly the 1AA. So, you know, alongside Marcus's Idaho State Bengals.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Another proud tradition. I think Idaho State actually has a football national championship under their belt too. So, you know, there you
Yes,
go.
they do. I'm not sure if Weber has that, but
They don't. They will not until this spring when we're going to have spring football in the Big Sky.
Yeah, you got to do that. I mean, hopefully, we can be safe and.
It's maddening. All right. Well, today I wanted to pose some scenarios to you guys about how you would handle some certain things in the dental office, because this week I had on my schedule somebody that wanted to come in for a denture consult, and then on like the little sticky note on the software, it said that he wants to talk about trading services. So at our morning huddle, I said, well, what's this about? He wants to trade what? Like, what is his trade? What does he do? And my office manager didn't know. She just said he was going to try to ask me about that, and I just want to know how you guys handle. Anyway, the guy ended up no-showing for the appointment because he had to pay like $100 for the exam or whatever. But I want to know how you guys handle this when people approach you about trading services for your dental work. Marcus, let's start with you. I'm sure you've had this before.
So did he find out that you used to be a gigolo during dental school? Is that what you're referring to, or?
God, I paid for dental school by dancing, yes, and other services on the side.
Oh, okay. By services, you meant something else. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
meant dental service.
I didn't mean to bring that up. You're past stuff. Okay.
I do private parties if you want to email me, but just dentistry for right now.
Okay. In my current situation, it's really not an issue because I work in a community health center. I work for a company. So it's, first off, I don't remember somebody asking me, but even if they did, it'd be easy for me to just say, hey, look, that's not something I can offer you. I work for this company. They don't do that kind of thing. But when I was in private practice, absolutely it happened. And I, a number of times, did it. And sometimes it felt like it was okay. But a lot of times I ended up feeling like, am I really getting out of this transaction what I gave to the other person?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever got like completely burned, like I gave them a crown and I never got anything in return, but it just never, I never, to be honest with you, never felt like I was really getting a great deal through the transaction.
Yeah. Troy, what about you?
We don't do it in our office at all. We basically have come to an agreement that just won't happen because, like Marcus says, usually somebody feels like they're getting the short end of the stick. We do have a guy that we did electrical work with, and what he would do is he would provide us electrical stuff, give us a bill for his services, and we would actually just credit his account that amount for his dental services. So dollar for dollar, he billed us whatever he billed, we billed whatever we billed, and it works out fine. There's no guesswork. There's no, oh man, this is actually clearly worth, whatever you did or whatever. So I feel like that was a good situation for the fact that we didn't really have a situation where it was just kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, that's good. And I have had a plumber that I've done that with too, and that works out well. If you both just exchange invoices or whatever, that seems to work out well. one time I had somebody ask me up. This was a different plumber if I wanted to trade services, and I was pretty new out of school, and so I thought, oh yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess. And so, but what ended up happening is he would call me like on the weekends because he didn't want to have to miss work. So I'd end up going in on Saturdays to fix a tooth or something like that, and then uh, he would, come fix a pipe or something like that, but he'd never send me a bill. Well, eventually it was like he owed me like $1,200. So I said, had my office manager call him and see, like, do you want to just settle this up or whatever? Because you keep getting stuff done but not paying. And he's like, oh, I just thought we were just gonna, when one of us needed something done, we were just gonna do it for each other for free. Like, no, that's not how it was. And so I've had people offer tax services to me. My father-in-law had a friend of his come in for an emergency. He never paid his bill, and he just promised he was going to redo my father-in-law's bathroom. And I'm sure my father-in-law knew that was never going to happen. But it just seems like somebody always gets screwed out of something if you're not really doing it how Troy just explained, I think.
Yeah.
I had a patient who was a chiropractor, and they wanted to do an exchange. So I was like, okay, and it actually was pretty good because the chiropractic care was nice. Her husband was also a massage therapist in her office. So I would get a massage and chiropractic work. But the first time I got a massage, that was the very first time I'd ever had a massage. But here's this patient, so it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
First massage, this guy, he's my patient, and he's doing his work, and all of a sudden he starts rubbing my butt. And
are you joking, dude? This serious?
No, I've heard this before, I think.
And he's like, man, your glutes are really tight. And I'm like, yes, they are.
They are. You must work out.
I didn't know that was part of getting a massage, and it was all fine after that, but it was very awkward.
You guys stay friends?
Yeah, they kept coming in and coming into the office, and it was different.
Another success.
Yes.
Okay, what about when a patient asks for a discount? So I've had patients, and they're usually claim to be your friend, and hey, you gonna comp anything for me? You gonna discount anything for me? And it's like, why? My first question is why? I mean, why? Just because we're friends and stuff? I mean, I guess, but also have somebody that has done work in my office that I paid him, and he has asked for a discount just because I've hired him to do stuff. Like, well, I didn't get a discount when I hired you. Why do you get a discount when you hire me? But did you ever have that happen in private practice, Marcus?
Yeah, for sure. And I even had told my family when I first got out of school. I don't know if I was, because I did a startup, maybe I was just desperate, thinking this will get me patients.
Yeah.
My family and friends, which in hindsight was the craziest thing I've ever done. But I offered like a 20% discount to all my relatives and family, and I did get some of them coming in. But I've just found it seems like if anything is going to go wrong, if there's going to be sensitivity afterwards, if the crown's always going to come off, whatever it is, it's going to happen on family members and people like that. And then you already offered them a discount, and now they're coming in for you to fix stuff for whatever, address it for free. So I regretted that. And now that I'm not in private practice, it's nice because I'm just like, you know what, this place doesn't offer discounts. You just come in and pay what you pay. So
yeah.
Nice. But I did have on occasion, you have somebody you go to church with or a neighbor, and I don't know why, but you almost feel like you got to give them some discount or something.
Yeah, it's true. Troy, what about you? You get a lot of people asking for that, and you're in a little bit of a smaller town and know a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the people always joke around about it,
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But we offer a 10% cash discount. But they have to pay in cash at time of service, not with debit card, not with credit card, not with anything. Well, debit card is okay. No, hold on, just cash, credit, check, right? Because we still pay 3% on credit, a debit, even, right?
On a debit. Well, let's see. I'm not sure about debit.
If fees.
I think just on I don't know, actually. On credit,
they
for
pay
sure.
A basket of eggs.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Part of that.
Right? So anyway, that's the thing is I'll give them cash that way, discount that way. But, I will discount services if I feel like it's needed. Like, say I did something, I need to redo something, and it wasn't my fault. Like I've had patients that'll lose their partial like a week after they get it.
Yeah.
And it's not my fault. I didn't do
Yeah.
anything, but I will discount some of it, to help. Well, they have to pay for my lab and they have to pay for some time,
Yeah.
but so that kind of thing, discount. But yeah, I'm very careful with discounts. I mean, with the way that our climate is in dentistry right now, just accepting dental insurance is a massive discount.
Yep.
I mean, we get
Excellent
what,
point.
75 cents on the dollar, if that,
If that.
if
Yeah.
that. So I mean, we're already discounting. The fact that we are accepting your dental insurance is in essence a discount.
Yeah.
So you are getting a discount.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I had a lady, this has been like 10 years ago, kind of an ornery patient, and she called and asked my front office for a discount on her bill. And she said, I'm in there every 6 months, and can I get a little bit of a discount? And first of all, I'm like, well, why does she want, what does she expect this? Just because she's a returning customer? I don't understand. And my front office told her, well, he's discounting every time when you use your insurance, there's like a 30% write-off. And she said, well, who's giving that discount? Well, Dr. Waldron is. And then she was like, oh, okay. But it's like, I don't think they understand how much we write off for their insurance. But yeah, the discount thing is interesting. I do the same thing as you, Troy. If it's something that breaks, I have to redo a filling or something, that's one thing. But I don't know. I knew a dentist who did some work on a patient, and then the patient died not long after, and his front office asked, should we, write off the bill? They died, and he said, no, his family can afford it. They can pay the bill. I mean, we did the work. So, I mean, maybe that seems a little heartless, but it also seems like, why, the work was done. If you went to the grocery store and bought groceries and then you died, well, Walmart's not going to give you a discount on the groceries you just bought just because you can't eat them or something. So,
Yeah.
listen to
Yep.
me sounding heartless.
And we do a really high quality precision service for people. You think of like Apple, for instance. They sell very high end, high quality products, and very rarely are you going to find those at a discount.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk in there and ask them for a discount just because you've been a loyal
Hmm.
customer for a long time.
I've had 5
Um,
iPhones.
yeah. Oh, that's nice. Buy another one. This is interesting. But at the same time, I think every one of us, in some way or another, gives charitable service too. I mean, I know Troy, your office does give kids a smile. I mean, that's basically giving a discount to the community around
Yeah.
you. I'm sure each one of us at some time or another has had a patient where we genuinely wanted to help them, and they needed some help, and we just did something for them
Yep.
and didn't charge them. And so, I mean, I don't think dentists are heartless for charging for their services. I mean, you have to, especially just the way that dentistry is set up. I mean, it costs a lot to be in practice,
Yeah.
and you're already writing off so much with insurance, like Troy pointed out. I mean, you barely can afford to offer a discount when you do.
Yeah. And the problem with, well, one of the many problems with insurances is that they have these clauses or whatever that say that you can only get a crown every 5 years on an individual tooth, or like a filling's only covered every 2 years. Well, if a patient goes out and they're chewing on a jawbreaker and break a crown you put in 2 years ago, and there's no other option but to replace the crown, but their insurance doesn't cover it for 5 years, so they expect you to do it for free. They think they've got a 5-year warranty built in or something like that. So insurances give them a little bit of a false sense of security like that, and make it seem like the burden's on us to take care of that stuff when it's really on them to be smart with their dental work and whatever else. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ryder. I mean, like you're saying there, apparently since the insurance says, that this can only be covered every 5 years, that's the built-in warranty. It's a joke. I had a patient just 2 weeks ago or so. She lost a crown that had been in there for 3.5, 4 years. It popped off and she swallowed it apparently.
Oh wow.
And so, then what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to leave it off for another year,
Right.
and then until your insurance will pay. So that's when you go, well, crap. Now I'm in a tough spot because the
Yeah.
patient wants me to fix it. So, that's something I did discount. I did it for half price or whatever, which the patient was grateful for. In my situation, the patient would have paid full price, but I felt kind of bad, because it's like, well, the insurance didn't cover it.
Yeah. I had one recently where, well, so I put a crown on this lady on number it was on number 7, and it was, let's see, 10. It was on number 10, and I did it December of 2018. Well, it was fine, and then I thought it looked fine. It was a pretty wide lateral, and she came in at her 6-month checkup and was like, I don't really love this crown. First of all, I didn't like the color. Like, well, you approved it when we put it in there. And it did, and it looked pretty good, I thought. Then she kept saying, well, it feels a little too wide. Well, if it's not that wide, then it's going to leave a space there. And then she thought it was wide, facially, lingually, too bulky. Like, well, you gotta, it was just like one thing after another. And I kept telling her, if you want me to replace that, I will replace it. But, we got to do it. We can't. Well, anyway, she finally came in just this month and wanted to replace it 2 years after. So I cut that thing off, and she'd had a root canal on it. And so in the meantime, anyway, I cut it off, and then my staff brought me back, or my assistant came back and said, oh, she just paid for everything in full and everything. I'm like, oh gosh, we talked about that. I was going to discount that for. And anyway, I did, and didn't make her pay for that crown, which I thought was pretty nice, but I told her I would, but it's been 2 years. Well, she was very grateful. Like, most patients just take the discount and are like, I think they deserve it. But she asked my assistant to go get me so she could thank me, and it that made it feel like it was worth it, even though I was kind of bugged. It was 2 years later. She was very grateful and everything. So sometimes, like a thank you really goes a long way for me at least. So I don't know,
Yeah,
just my 2 cents there. Okay, I've got another one. And I'm sure we've all been in this situation. When a patient asks you to do a procedure, especially a specialty procedure, that you don't feel comfortable with, and they give you the sob story, well, I can't afford a specialist, or like, I don't have time for that, or my insurance runs out tomorrow. Can you please just do it? What do you tell them, Marcus, when they say things like that? Because I have it all the time.
I think I'm better at this stage in my career. What are we, 17 years in, something like that?
Yeah.
I think I'm better at this stage than I was early on, partly because early on I felt like, man, I really need to do everything because I've got to start a practice, and I felt that pressure, like I got to make some money. Plus, the patient really is giving me, the pressure. But at this stage, I'm pretty firm with just telling them, hey, look, that's just not something. I'm just being honest with you. That's not something I do often, and I don't do it well. And so I just feel like I'm doing you a big disservice by trying it out and seeing how it goes. There's a really high likelihood it's not going to be done well, and it's not going to last.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make them any more happy. But I think when I'm just blunt and honest with them, at least it seems like to me, that they're actually a little more accepting of it, and just like, okay, well, I accept that, that thanks for being upfront with me about it.
Yeah. Troy, what about you? What's your go-to line?
I'm along the exact same lines as Marcus. Early on in my career, I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it, and of course it doesn't work out like you wanted to, blah blah blah. And now I don't cave. I don't do it. I don't compromise at all. I 100% will not do something I do not feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that being the experience, because I do know how to talk to the patient about it now. I don't even care if they're mad at me at this point. I'm just like, what? The reality is I am not going to be doing this because I don't feel comfortable with it. Like Marcus says, I don't do enough of this to make it to where I'm extremely good at it. And I don't want that to be a problem with, the long-term effects of the tooth or the procedure, whatever. So, yeah, I don't even mess with it at all.
Yeah, and it seems like, molar endo is one thing I don't do. I refer those out. I think the endodontists do an amazing job, and I do not. But I get a lot of people ask me that. Oh, is that something you don't do? How come you don't do that? But if you're looking at it money wise, well, it would take me a couple hours to do a molar endo. I could do 4 or 5 fillings in an hour. If I did 8 to 10 fillings in 2 hours, I'd make a lot more money doing it that way. But usually those things fail. I had a lady recently who needed a root canal on number 2, and it's a patient I don't love. One of those that almost wish they'd go somewhere else. And sometimes they go to get like a 1-day crown done at another office, but still come to me for the recalls and stuff, and it drives me nuts. And so I said, you need a root canal done on this tooth. It had a crown on it. And she said, well, my husband told me if I need something done, I'm going to go to this other office that he's gone to. I said, okay, well, just so you know, they are not root canal specialists. They will not be able to do this as good. And, just so you understand, oh, I know. And, that's what you've said. And so anyway, she went to this other dentist, and then she came back to me. It was a couple of months later, and said, she didn't get it done. She was talking to this dentist, and he said, I can do the root canal, but it's probably not going to last. It'll probably fail, and then you'll have to go to the endodontist after that. So she said, okay, so can you, refer me to another specialist? I'm like, gosh dang it, like I'm not trying to, just not do work, or I'm not like the lazy dentist that doesn't have any skills. I just think I know what's best. Like Troy said, experience at this time, and we know what we do well and we know what we don't, and it's in the best interest of the patient to listen to us usually. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
You think about that. That's just what you just said there. And I think we've talked about this maybe early on in the podcast. Is we have monetary benefit if we do procedures.
Yes.
Right? Why would we tell the patient don't do it here if that wasn't really what we believed?
Right. We're losing
if we're
money.
going to make money off them, you would think that we would try and go, okay, well, I'm going to do everything I can because I got to keep the money,
Yep.
But when you're referred by a dentist, you ought to probably think about the fact that, what? This guy really means that I need to go somewhere else because he wants the best work done. He's willing to not get paid for this service that he could provide because he thinks it's in my best interest. And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was talking to my father-in-law who had on the last episode one time about molar endo, and he said that, I used to do a lot of molar endo, and he said not once did I ever find that mesial buccal 2 canal. He said at that point I realized, like, I should not be doing these. I need to have an endodontist do these, and that made me finally feel like, okay, this guy's been doing it for like 30 years, and if he can't do it, then what the heck am I thinking doing these things? And I've done some molar endo, and they've turned out pretty good, but, some just need to be redone after, and it sucks. So
yeah. And it's kind of a tricky thing when you first start out because you do kind of have to. So in some ways, you still got to try some things, I guess.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful too that you're not like you're just doing it half-hearted. You're just kind of going through the motions. You're not really sure what you're doing because in that situation, you're probably going to do more harm to the patient than good. So it's a fine line, but I think just with time you start to realize where your talents lie, what you're good at, what you're comfortable with. And obviously, the further you are in dentistry, the more financially secure you get, and it's a little easier to eliminate that factor in your decision-making process. But I agree, man. You got to be careful with specialty type services that you're able to provide the service at the level of a specialist.
Yeah, like Troy said, he doesn't care if a patient gets mad now. I feel the same way, and it's better to have a mad patient or have a patient leave than have a lawsuit, I guess. So
yeah,
I don't know. Let somebody else have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I also had this recently. I had a patient who I got a bankruptcy notice from, and we got one from this family, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that, and we had to write off a bunch of money or whatever, and then they came back and we, said we'd accept them back if, they had to pay cash every time, for every procedure and not miss any payments or anything like that. And they'd been pretty good, but we still got these bankruptcy notices. I bet we got over a dozen bankruptcy notices, and maybe they were with this, the same bankruptcy a few times, but then they just took out another bankruptcy and they owed us, I don't know, maybe $100 or something like that, took out another bankruptcy. So, usually my policy is if you take out a bankruptcy, you don't get to come back because you end up losing money. But how do you guys, I don't know what the policy is in most offices. Troy, how do you handle it at your office if a patient takes out a bankruptcy and owes you money?
Yeah, boy, I don't know. Can you clarify? You actually had the same person, like 12 bankruptcy notices?
Yes. Yeah, no, it was about 12 bankruptcy notices. So I know you get one, and then you might get some that, that trickle in after, like some different information about these same bankruptcies. But it's been probably 8 years, and we've probably gotten over a dozen of these notices, and they've been separate bankruptcies, and it'll show on there, like, what they're paying for. I mean, and this family has told me, well, I know earlier this year they were going on a cruise, and I'm thinking, I know you've had bankruptcies before. And the wife wanted to get 6 anterior crowns done so she could look good on this cruise. And I'm thinking, how are you going to afford that? And of course, she didn't get them done because she couldn't afford them. But then they owed, however much money recently, and they got another bankruptcy that we have to write off. So I had my front office call them and say, no, we're done. We can't keep just, dinking around with this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's only happened to me. Thank goodness that's only happened to me once. I remember of a patient
Wow.
getting bankrupt, and it was sad because I had just done a ton of anterior crowns on her too. I think it was like
Yeah.
$14,000.
geez.
The lady went bankrupt. She went to jail.
Wow.
She had done some pretty bad stuff, I guess. But yeah, we pretty much just never saw her again. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now the same thing on going on collections. We have had people that we've had to turn to collections, and
Hmm.
we'll put a note in their chart, a little pop up. So if they ever call back in, they will pop up and say, a patient went to collections, didn't pay their bill,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And so we have, crazily enough, we've had a few of those folks actually get back on the schedule somehow. And I'm kind of like ready to talk to my front desk a little bit and
Yeah.
say, hey,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
part of that did you not see?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And it's super awkward, and I know the front desk didn't mean anything by it, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to talk to these folks again
Hmm.
because they hosed us for some cash, and we don't need to take that risk again.
Yep.
So we haven't messed with it much, and like I say, I've only had the one bankruptcy thing, and it was kind of nasty. So I never have seen that patient anymore.
I think it's probably worthwhile to remember too that we can terminate a relationship with any patient. I mean, we have that within
Yep.
our right. Now, I
Hmm.
think I think legally, and I'm not a lawyer. We're not trying to give legal advice here, but I think you need to, if you send them a letter and say, hey, look, you've got for the next 30 days, I'm available to you for emergency care. Here's the name of some other offices in the area, or something along those lines, or
Do you send them
here's
the enemies, the
yeah,
guys that you
right.
don't
Some
like?
dentists you don't
Go to
like.
Some
this
guys
guy's
I can't
office.
stand. I think you could even send them like a link to your state dental society's website. I don't know, something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, so
Yeah. That's good.
they can see that they've got options of places they can reach out to, but and just let them know that I'm not available to be your dentist beyond the next 30 days for emergencies, and then you still got to make sure your front office, if they happen to call, is aware. You got some kind of flag in their chart. I don't know, something. Hopefully that if they do happen to call you, they can just say, hey, we don't have a professional relationship anymore.
Yeah.
But I think that's fair. If somebody's ran off on their bill or
Oh.
whatever reason, we
Yeah,
don't have to.
we do send out that letter, Marcus, like you just said, the 30 days. I think in order for you to not consider it a patient abandonment, you have to do that. You have to write them a letter saying, you will cover you for 30 days for emergencies for the next, 30 days, and that's it. And then
Yeah.
you're on your own.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I've had a ton of people go to collections and stuff, and you know, sometimes they'll come back and at that point, they're on a, pay cash at the time of service, and if your insurance pays, we can reimburse you, things like that. But the bankruptcies, I've had a couple. Well, I haven't had a couple of bankruptcies. I've had a lot of bankruptcies come through, and sometimes we'll get suspicious about it because they'll be like, "Well, I've got to get this done pretty soon," and like, "Well, how can why so soon?" And
Yeah,
my
all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden.
my front office is usually pretty good about kind of catching on to suspicious things that are said like that, and it's good. But yeah, I've had some that, like Troy said, have thousands of dollars and they just walk out on it. And it's funny to me because we'll turn over to a collection agency, and then funny enough, they start paying the collection agency, like, and there's like a 30% fee on top of that. So like, how come you could pay them but you didn't pay us? Like, did you think we weren't serious that you had to pay, or I don't know. So anyway, I was just wondering how you guys handled that. I think young dentists, that's kind of a tough one because I was just happy to have patients when I was young and didn't worry about them paying as much because I just trusted that everybody would pay. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not true. It's not true. Okay, so I've got one last one, and this is when you have these patients who miss appointments a lot, or they have work diagnosed and then don't get it done, but then they call you after hours on the weekend with a toothache or need you to come in, and usually they're very convincing about what kind of need they're in. And it's not like, well, at least for me, they're calling my cell phone after hours to ask me. So they'll try to sweet talk me or whatever. But how do you guys handle that? Troy, I'm going to start with you. When these patients miss appointments or aren't compliant with treatment, and then they want you to bail them out on the weekends or something.
Yeah, I get that occasionally where, you'll have a situation where even in area patients that you maybe they'll confess to you on the phone that it's been bothering them for about 3-4 months or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's a key indicator to me that it is not an emergency, and I do not go out of my way for it. I call me heartless, call me whatever,
I will
but
not.
I'm gonna say, well, you can wait till Monday then. If you waited 3 months, I'll see you on Monday. Take some ibuprofen and Tylenol alternating, and I'll see you Monday. Um, yeah, early on in my career, I would not do that. I would have dropped everything and gone down there. But
Yeah.
I found that if you cater to folks, word gets around that you're the guy that is okay. You know, I believe in personal responsibility. If you're hurting, call me. Let me know.
Mhm.
And especially, please don't tell me that you've been hurting for 3 months, because that you've clearly have had some time in there that we could have got you fixed up.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
Yeah, that does. Marcus,
yeah,
I don't think you get too many emergency calls where you are now, but you did when you were in private practice
Yeah,
or
I
when you
did.
owned a practice.
Yeah, when I owned my practice, I would get calls like that too, and I mean it's hard. I don't know. Some people might be able to. I think it's just my nature. I feel like, man, I got to do something for them, and
Yeah.
a lot of times I'd go in and see him, and it just can be uncomfortable. But they got to have some responsibility too. And if I felt like it was a real urgent emergency type thing, I would try to see him. But a lot of times I felt like, uh, it's not life or death. A lot of dentistry isn't life or death.
Yeah.
And they can be put off a little bit. You can tell them, well, I'll be in on Monday and take some ibuprofen and Tylenol, or I'll call you an antibiotic if I really felt like it
Yeah.
warranted that. Or but those are I hated that on the weekend. My
Yeah.
phone would call. I'm like, oh crap, I don't
Yep.
recognize that cell number. What's this
Yep.
message gonna say?
Yep. I'm the same way, and what I've noticed, at least lately, a lot of the patients that are excellent patients that are regulars and stuff, they'll come in on Monday or Tuesday for a toothache and be like, yeah, I was hurting over the weekend, but I didn't want to bug you. I'm like, you're the type of patient that I don't mind if you call. I appreciate you not, I guess, but but it's the patients that haven't been in for 3 years and they're calling and saying, I really meant to get that done, but I had this and this and this. And um, one thing that has really helped, I think, is that we aren't allowed to call in narcotics over the phone now. So a lot of those druggy patients that were looking for their fix on the weekends, they know that we're not even allowed to call those in. So I don't get as many of those calls looking for pain medication on the weekends, and that's really cut down. But I had one a few years ago from a lady that she would come in and she would say something hurts and be like, well, I need to send you the endodontist. Then she wouldn't go. Then she'd call me on the weekends, and finally I told her on a phone call one night that I can't help you. I'm sorry. You've had plenty of time. She said, well, I'm not a drug seeker. And I said, I think you are actually. Like, you think about your behavior and when you're calling me and that you're avoiding treatment, things like that. So I think you are. And she, just like started yelling at me, but I just had to let her go. But yeah, I just when my phone rings, I feel like my stomach just drops. And that's a terrible, like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's what we've done to ourselves, I think. So
You said something important right there, Ryder, because those folks, like you said, that come in on a Monday or Tuesday and say that they've been hurting for a few days but didn't want to bug us. Those are the folks that you would go out of your way to help, because
right,
they come in every 6 months. You know the situation they're in. You know that their teeth are in a certain. You can kind of tell how people take care of their teeth, and
hmm,
those folks you like to help. I love helping those folks because they're very responsible and they come in and I know I got a good idea. But boy, like you say, the person that doesn't come in regularly, that you know is not taking care of themselves, and it's just a struggle to say, yeah, I'm just going to drop everything because you just decided it wasn't important for you to come into the dentist for the last 3 months when this has been bothering you,
yeah,
when I was actually in the office
yeah,
and I could have actually helped you. Instead, you want me to, call my staff and open the office and turn the power on and please don't charge for an after hours fee.
right, yep, yeah,
So, it's
that's
one of those
exactly
things.
right.
I'm like, yeah, there's certain people that and you're willing to do stuff and help because they're good people and they don't take advantage of you. Or Some people, they only call on the weekends because that's when they're off.
Yeah, that's when they're off work. Yep. Yeah,
and
that's exactly right.
I don't know a single. I mean, I'm an employer, right? I have 14 staff. There's not one time ever that they have ever requested, says, hey, I have to have time off. I need to go to a doctor's appointment. Okay. There's not one time ever that I have ever said, no, you cannot go.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
usually
have you
my
guys
staff.
ever had that?
No.
Yeah, my staff will do that, and I understand. Yes, we're working at the same time other doctors' offices are working, and sometimes they don't work on Fridays when we're off. And usually my staff is good about scheduling things on Fridays, but my staff is responsible enough that one of the assistants will cover the front office, or one assistant will whatever, and we'll make it work. And but they plan ahead, and I've never had to tell them no, you can't do that, because they usually are responsible enough to figure it out themselves, how to cover for themselves. So yeah, never had to tell them no. And most people in normal jobs, I mean, they have sick leave, or they can take time off or go at lunchtime or something like that. So most people can get off work. They just don't want to get off work.
Yep.
So
well,
guys, do you have any other nuggets of information you want to drop on the listeners?
That's a lot of information to absorb right before Christmas, right there.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. How about this? Don't sweat the petty stuff, and don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent.
They want to cut that from the podcast.
You know what? I'm gonna get my Cricut out right now. I'm gonna put that in vinyl lettering, and I'm gonna stick it on the back of my car. I really enjoy that, Marcus. Makes me a little sweaty just hearing it. Oh. Okay. Well, on that note, let's just wrap this baby up. Marcus, do you want to tell
everybody? Like a Christmas present.
Like a
there
Christmas
you go. That's
present
right.
be opened on Christmas morning. Yeah, so I'm speechless. Marcus, why don't you tell everybody where to find us and where to find this present?
Yes. So we can be found on Facebook. We've got at Dental Realist on Twitter. You can email us, dentalrealist@gmail.com. We've got some books out there, So You Want to Be a Dentist, and So Now You're a Dentist. Great information, really quick reads. Not too late to get those as a Christmas gift. They're available digitally, so yes. But we love hearing from our listeners, so reach out to us. Let us know things that you have questions about, any future podcasts, things you'd like us to talk about.
And Troy, why don't you give them your cell phone number so they can give you an after-hours call this weekend?
Unfortunately, my cell phone just isn't available. I don't know. It sounds like you use your cell phone for business. I have a landline still. I'm old school, man. I still have a landline, so they call my landline.
Yeah, give them that number, and if they have a broken tooth, you can have them call them on your brand new.
Broken tooth, call my landline. See how quickly I can get back to you. No, I do have some patients I will give my cell phone to.
Yeah.
But those are people that I really enjoy, and they're really good people that, they're people that are responsible, and they only call me if it is an emergency, which is great. They're responsible folks.
Yeah. I remember I can't remember, was it I want to say Dr. Morris in dental school, who said that he would write his cell phone number down on a business card for certain patients. He said, just in case they needed something. He said not one time in his whole career did he ever get a call, because they just needed to know he cared or something like that. So anyway, we appreciate everybody listening. This has been episode 54 of the Dental Realist podcast, and we'll talk to you on episode 55. Thanks.